Alright, welcome back to another episode of Dirty Dave's Garage. Today we're going to be doing an oil change on the 2008 Cadillac STS. And we're going to go through it. It's not a big deal. I already got the parts. I'll put a link, an affiliate link if I remember, down in the description if you need an oil filter, because this is kind of an odd oil filter. You can't always get them at the parts store. Sometimes you can. Oil you can get there, or you can order it online as well. But let's get started and get to it. So the first thing we're going to need to do is remove this this cover, this engine cover, and we went over this in a previous video. Basically, you have to take the oil cap off first. You just unscrew it, pop it off, set it aside, and this should just pop loose and lift right out, just like so. And that's really all we need to get access to. I don't know if you can see, but down in here, this is where your actual oil filter is, and it's just a little cartridge type oil filter. We're gonna, when we're ready, we'll pull that off with a bolt, a ratchet, and pop the old filter out, put the new one in, put the new O-ring in, and seal it up. But we'll get the oil drain first. So we'll be right back. Okay, first things first. In order to drain the oil, we're going to have to remove, hopefully you can see this, I'm awful close, I'm underneath the car, got it up on the lift, this plate underneath. I know it's dark under here, but it is what it is. Let's try and get a light under here. You can see a little better. Looks like there's 4 screws we got to take out. So we're going to remove them and then remove this plastic little splash guard, get it out of the way so we can hopefully get to the drain. So I'm going to pull those screws out and pull this shield off if there's anything weird. Looks like there might be a couple body fasteners up here that might be pinned into it, but we'll find out once we slide it out. I'm hoping it's just under that lip. But we'll come back and let you know if there's any problems. And we'll get those 4 screws out, get this out of the way, and move on to the next step. Alright, so we got our cover removed. It was just those 4 bolts. They were 10mm bolts. Took those 4 out, and then it just slid out from under the lip of this front air dam. Just slide it off and get it out of your way. This is actually our oil pan. I know it's weird looking, but this is where the oil is. This is going to be our drain plug here. Hopefully you can see it. That's a 13mm bolt. I've already cracked it loose, but I haven't started letting the oil out. It's kind of tough to do with the camera in your hands, so I'm going to unscrew that. I've got a drain pan here. I can drop the bolt right in it because it's got a drain in it. It won't fall down into my oil, but I'll wipe the plug off when it's done draining. But real quick, before I get into that, I just wanted to show you this Seafoam engine cleaner, basically motor treatment. I've talked about this in some of my other videos, and I always forget to show you a picture of it. And if I remember, I'll put a link, like I said, in my description, a little affiliate link to Amazon where you can order this stuff right from Amazon. But what I always do, I put a half a can of that in the crankcase just yesterday, and I've driven the car about 50 miles, and that cleans all the gunk out of your internals, your cylinders, your intakes, and then I put the other half of the can in the gas tank, cleans your fuel system out, your fuel injectors and whatnot. The stuff works great, it really does. I usually don't endorse bottled products, but this is one that's saved me a lot of grief with the issue I was having with our Toyota or our Scion XB burning oil, and I was able to get the engine cleaned up enough to where the piston rings were working right again and it stopped burning oil. So if you need more information about that, if you know somebody's got a Toyota that's burning oil, I talk about it in my Scion oil change video. Can save yourself a lot of grief with that if you try this first before going to the dealership. So we're going to get that oil drain. I'm going to pull the plug, and then we'll be right back, and we'll get to the next step. Alright, so we got the tray back on. Piece of cake. It just slid back up in there. Put the 4 bolts back in. Got that all secured. Oil's all drained. Put the plug back in. Made sure to tighten that down. And we're going to get the car down, and we're going to fill her up and change the oil filter out, which is up top. We'll be right back. Alright, to get the oil to the oil filter, we're going to remove this metal cap under here. You'll see it has a nut on the top. I'm using a 24mm socket on a socket. So I'm going to loosen that, pull that cap off. It's going to take me a minute, and then we'll be back. All right, just to give you an idea what it is. Once you get it loose, you'll see it's a threaded cap. And the oil filter is basically an exposed filter. I'm going to set this over here because it's still hot from me running the motor. But that's all it is. We're going to pull that paper filter out and pop the new one in. Make sure you pay attention to which way you put your new one in. It should come with a new O-ring. You'll see an O-ring around the lip. May as well go ahead and replace that. Your new filter should have one. Just take a pick or something and pull that old O-ring out, slip the new one on, and then pop your new filter on in the appropriate direction. Some of them don't matter. This one looks like it'll work either way, but there's like a little spring on the end of it. In fact, let me pull this out. Let's see if I can see. Yeah, it's the same. This one's the same on both ends, so it's just a rubber thing, and there's like a plug in the end that it snaps onto. So push the new clean filter onto that, put your new O-ring in, and that's all there is to it. Put it back on, gently thread it on. You don't want to cross thread your cap when you put it back. Get as hand tight as you can, and then put your 24mm socket back on it and snug it up. So we'll be back as soon as I get that done. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do this. Got our nice new clean filter here and our new O-ring. We've already pulled the old filter off. I'm going to real quick take a little pick, grab this old O-ring, just slip the pick under it, slip the old O-ring off, grab the new one, just slide it over. You might have to work it down because it'll be a little tighter than the old one was. Get it down into there, all the way up into that groove, top groove, not in the threads, but above the thread area. You'll see what I'm talking about. There's a little groove for the O-ring. There we go. It's in there. Then you just take your new filter. Doesn't matter which end on this car. Pop it in, snap it on, so it's in there snug. Stick it back in the hole and tighten it up by hand. All right, we'll be back after I get that on. Alright, we got our oil filter cap back on with our new oil filter under it. I just put 5 quarts of oil in. I need to put 1 more quart. This car takes about 6 quarts of oil. But what I was going to say, put your first 5 in, pull the dipstick back here, check it, make sure it's all the way up to the full mark. And you know, when you get to that last quart, pour about half in and keep checking. You don't want to overfill it, and just keep adding, you know, quarter of a bottle at a time until you get it up to the full mark, and give it a few seconds to run down into the oil pan to make sure you're getting a good reading, because it takes it a few seconds to run down through the engine and into your oil pan to give you a good reading. So pour it in, wait about 30 seconds, then check it again. Once you get it full, put your cover back on. That goes on before your oil cap. So and basically it just slides on. I'll show you real quick. We're pretty much done here. Make sure you slide those tabs in, get it lined up over the hole here. Hopefully you can see. There's the hole, and then put your cap down on and clamp it down, and that's pretty much it. You're done. But again, don't forget to top off that oil, check your oil. And then check it in about a week. You know, you stop for gas, go ahead and check your oil again, make sure you're still good. That's all there is to it, folks. So be safe, happy motoring, and take care of your car. It'll take care of you. This is Dirty Dave, and we'll see you next time.